Hey everybody, this is Brian from the Permanent Record Podcast. Let me start by thanking you for downloading our new episode. This is the 80's mixtape episode, and we've been pretty excited to get to this one for the last month or so. So excited, in fact, we went out last week and invested in some new equipment and some new microphones. We wanted to make sure that this episode would sound better than any episode yet. We invited our friend Colby Beil to sit in with us. We had a 3-man panel ready to compile a collection of classic 80's tunes for you with brand new microphones, and that's where we hit our snag. It turns out we weren't quite capable of placing our 3 brand new microphones in a good configuration for recording with 3 voices. As a result, we probably have come up with our worst sounding episode. We hope you'll be able to forgive us and to still enjoy it. We did our best to try to edit it and make it sound more listenable. There's a lot of good music in this one and some good conversation, so we hope you can check it out, and we hope you will enjoy it, even considering the audio problems we had that were, kind of just based on the fact that we're learning this as we go. So we hope you enjoy it. Let us know, and we'll talk to you after the theme song.
The Blue Zone Podcast Network presents Permanent Record, an in-depth look at the classic albums of the 70s and 80s. Albums that have earned a permanent place of honor both in our hearts and in our record collection.
Friends, welcome back to the Permanent Record Podcast. My name's Brian.
And I am Sarah.
And to my left and your right is the man who graced the Blue Zone Podcast Studios last episode as we kicked off the mixtape episode. It's our friend, Colby Beil. How are you doing, Colby?
I'm actually doing really great. I appreciate you guys inviting me. For a little while there, I was alone, but I took a ride. I wasn't sure what I was going to find there, but I'm really glad that I made it here.
Colby, I took a pledge with my New Year's resolutions this year, and I pledged that I just got to get you into my life.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
All right. Well, that was fun.
That was fun. All right. Hey, well, before we get started with side 2 of the mixtape, I have this book in front of me, Love is a Mixtape,
Wow.
Life and Loss, One Song at a Time by Rob Sheffield. You okay, Colby? Sheffield is a very good writer from, I think, the New York Times, maybe?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
He's done stuff for and Rolling Stone, too.
Rolling Stone.
Yeah, Rolling Stone.
He writes about music, but he has a list in this book of the types of mixtape that there are. There's all kinds of mixtapes. There's always a reason to make one, he says, and these are the kinds of mixtapes. There's the party tape, the I Want You tape, the We're Doing It, awesome mixtape. You like music, I like music, I can tell we're going to be friends mixtape. You Broke My Heart and Made Me Cry, and here are 20 or 30 songs about it mixtape. The Road Trip mixtape. The No Hard Feelings Babe mixtape, and the I Hate My Job mixtape.
Oh, man.
Oh, and then, of course, the very popular Walking mixtape.
Oh.
You got to have a walking mixtape.
Yeah, you've got to. I have one. Well, it's a playlist, I guess, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, of course, we should notify him
That we're doing.
on social media. We're adding one to his list.
Yeah.
This is a mixtape compiled specifically for a podcast.
That's it. Podcast mixtape.
Yep.
I think it's valid.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's happening, so.
Can't stop it now.
No stopping this train.
So when we stopped the mixtape last week,
That's true. We did stop it. Well, you got to flip the tape.
Yeah, that's right. You do have to walk across the room and flip the tape. When we stopped the last mixtape, we were up to Colby Beil for his next song. So this is Colby's second song, and it's going to be the first song on side 2 of our tape. So Colby, what do you have in store for us?
So my second song is from a band that I think is... It's one of those bands that everybody considers to be influential band from like 90s on, like a lot of the big grunge movement out of Seattle. There's multiple people that have claimed that they were heavily influenced by this band that I'm talking about, Boston's The Pixies.
Okay.
All right.
And there was a lot of stuff that I could have picked from that would have been an 80s song. The first song, I was really focused on picking a Pixies song. And the interesting thing about the song that I picked from them was that it's their least favorite song of all time.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So the song is called Here Comes Your Man. This is what it sounds like. So that was Here Comes Your Man by the Pixies. As I said, introing it, their least favorite song of all time. And it's also their earliest song, apparently Black Francis, or Francis Black, if you want to go by his given name or the name that he was born with.
The Sartorially Attired?
Yes,
Frank Black?
that's right.
He wrote this song when he was 14 or 15, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
And then when the Pixies were trying to actually secure a record contract, it was on their demo tape. But when they actually got licensed to make an album, it was like, no, we don't want to do that song. That song's too poppy. It's too mainstream for us. It's not us. And it was a song that their managers, they were all like, hey, you guys should do that Here Comes Your Man song. Yeah. And they were like, eh. So with the Doolittle album, they finally included it. There was a lot of pressure for them to include it, so it finally made it.
What album was that for? What number album?
It wasn't extremely deep into their career, but...
Because it was still in the 80s, right?
Oh, right.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So they finally did put it on an album, but they hated this song. They refused to promote it.
Wow.
When they finally were kind of dragged in to do a video, the video is like a performance video where they're all on like a stage, and there's some crazy camera angles and stuff like that. But every time that the camera comes on their faces when they're supposed to be singing the words, all they do is they open their mouths. They don't actually make words. They just
oh my gosh.
when it's
oh, that's hilarious.
When it's Black Francis, he just opens his mouth constantly during his time, and he shakes his head a little bit. But it's like basically they consider this as pop regurgitation. They don't like it at all.
While you were talking, I did look it up. Doolittle is their second album, and it was released in April of 1989. So it just made the cut into the 80s.
But it was a rule follower and not a rule breaker like the Mission.
Hearing you say that about the video, their lip-syncing performance, that makes me realize why David Gaughan's lip-syncing in my Shake the Disease video, why it stood out so much to you. 'Cause you weren't used to someone who lip-synced with such enthusiasm.
He was so irritated
like the
by
polar
the song.
opposite.
The Pixies were a band that I had heard before I understood how many bands were influenced by them, but I wasn't like a really huge follower of the Pixies. Uh-huh. And this particular song wasn't something that I knew a lot about, but I went back and listened to it after I had already heard bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and bands that said that they had been influenced by them. And I think that it's striking how much there's an element of this sound, even though it's poppy by the Pixies standards, there's an element of these vocals that really strikes me as that Seattle sound type thing. Mm-hmm. Like particularly that opening verse. If it wasn't the weird tones that Black Francis has, if you would actually put Eddie Vedder in this song, it would sound like a Pearl Jam song. You know, you change the way that their tones are to the Pearl Jam songs and put Eddie Vedder's voice in there, totally would fit in. And there's so much of the Pixies stuff that you can hear in other bands later. And that's why I had to pick this song. We were putting an 80s mixtape together, but I always think about how certain bands impacted other bands, and that's why I knew that you guys would never pick the Pixies. And my original song that I wanted to pick by the Pixies was a song called Debaser, but I know that you have issues with eyes, and since the chorus talks about slicing up eyeballs, I figured I'd give that a pass.
I might not have done very well with that.
Plus, my other reason for including this particular song is that there's a theme going on with my three picks.
I know you said that, and I'm trying to figure it out.
And
unlike the listener, I have an advantage because I know what your third pick is. Mm-hmm. But I still can't figure it out. So far in the first episode you brought us Under the Milky Way,
right,
by the Church. In this episode you brought us this song, Here Comes Your Man, by the Pixies.
Right.
I don't see any connection.
Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned.
Boy.
I will say this about this particular song. It was written, like I said, when he was 14 or 15. And he grew up in California.
Oh, that's crazy.
Even though he's a Boston band type guy.
Okay.
Because I wrote in my notes, sorry to interrupt, this song is the musical equivalent of a bright, sunny California day.
That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It's really, really crazy when you actually listen to what he said it was written about.
All right.
So when I first heard this song, I was reminded of Velvet Underground's Waiting for the Man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because Here Comes Your Man. Uh-huh. And I thought that there was a similar drug connection. Even though it's a very happy-go-lucky poppy song, I thought maybe there was this darker undercurrent because I also know that the Pixies tend to go dark. Mm-hmm. No, it's not really that. It's not a drug connection. There was a darker undercurrent. It was about hobos living on trains dying in an earthquake.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
wow.
He lived in California and he experienced a couple of minor earthquakes. There was a major one while he lived out there, but he slept through it. But he was affected so much about the concept that at any time there are these people that don't have solid structures. They're living in these little tin boxes and they're just going to die. And that's what he wrote this song about. And when you actually listen thinking about that, you're like, this takes all the happy out of this song.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I don't like hearing that.
musically, I think it's one of the catchiest little bass line hooks ever.
Oh,
it's super
absolutely.
catchy.
Yes, very much so.
Well, like, all right, so see, I've only heard the song a few times in my life. I've heard it on First Wave in the past year or so, but like, all right, if that's what the song is about, poor hobos that are going to die in an earthquake, who is the man? Like, who are they? Here comes your man? Like, who is that?
There wasn't any sort of line-by-line description of what he was talking about. He just said that he had heard an early REM song where the word boxcar is used, and he was kind of digging the way that sounded, and then he wrote this song because REM's use of boxcar made him think of boxcars, which made him think of hobos, and then he thought about hobos dying in an earthquake, and that's where this song came
Quite a
from.
weird word association thing going on there.
Yeah.
That was basically the chain that put this thing together.
Okay.
And ultimately, if I put every single Pixies song in front of me to just like have on a soundboard and just cue it up, if I was going to try to convince someone to like the Pixies, I would easily go to this one first,
Sure, it's definitely
yeah.
the most radio friendly.
It's really catchy.
which is why they hate it,
Yeah.
but why it's also the most acceptable for non-Pixies fans to get into.
Yeah.
Because it's nice gateway. And like, sure, once you explain that it's about, dead homeless people, it's not all that fun, but it helps to explain some of the more dark stuff coming your way as you get into the Pixies
It's like
catalog.
it's not really that out of place when you know what it's about.
Right.
The music, yes, but the words, no. Okay.
Right.
I think this sounds like a 60s song. It really, except for there's distortion in there, and that kind of jars you, and you're like, oh, okay, this is not what it sounds like. But I think that the pre-chorus section, that with so long, that totally sounds like a 60s song. I think it's fun and it's really cool, but
It is. This song is so upbeat, bouncy sounding. Like, to me, this percussion should have like the double hand claps in it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't, does it?
No.
I don't think
But I
ever
could see
remember
those
that.
fitting in.
No, yeah, I could see that too.
The other-
It is so. It's like an earworm. Like, I don't know any words, or else I'd be singing. I've been singing "Here Comes Your Man," which is all I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But if I knew the words to it,
Yeah.
I'd be singing way more of it
Yeah.
because it gets stuck in your head.
It
It's
does.
super catchy.
I know the all the guitar riffs in it. The da 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 da, that one, and then the strumming is even really good.
Right.
And it's just really nice.
The percussion to me is one of my favorite things about this, particularly when you know that he was writing it about an earthquake. Because
okay.
as the progression of
Yeah.
the song goes, the drum
At the
goes
end,
from
there's
sort of
a-
just a nice casual drumming
Yeah.
to
And
a
then
really insistent, almost
yeah.
a machine gun
I
effect
have
at the
that
end.
written down, yeah.
And it's almost like maybe you were asking me earlier about what does Here Comes Your Man, what is the man?
Yeah.
Maybe the man is like, I don't know, some sort of whatever the afterlife might be, because as the song goes and they're like, oh, here comes your man, and it's
Maybe it's the
earthquake.
Grim Reaper.
But also the lyrics, like when you actually look at what he's saying, he says something about big stone fall down, break my crown. So like
Yeah.
Oh no.
they're really, really elementary, the verse lyrics. It's not super detailed, but yeah,
Well,
you can
from
tell
a
he was talking about
14-year-old, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, big shake on the boxcar moving, big shake to the land that's falling down. Is a wind makes a palm stop blowing, a big, big stone fall and break my crown.
Yep, there it is.
Okay.
No, there was like a long period of time in our lives where the Pixies were broken up, right? They're back together now. Is that true?
Well, I didn't really do that much research on the Pixies,
Okay,
but
all right.
I do sort of remember that they weren't doing anything for a little while, but
I don't really need to know that. I was just leading up to the question, like, are there people in this band that are famous for being in other bands, like the Talking Heads, Jerry Harrison?
no.
And
Well,
okay.
at least not that I know of.
Okay. So Frank Black is like the main.
He's
He's the man.
He's easily the biggest name in there. I know that the guitarist Joey Santiago is the only other guy that I would even mention, and it's because he wanted, for this particular song, he wanted a real jangly sound that he wasn't getting with his regular guitar. So
I know what your theme is.
what is my theme? What is my theme? Go ahead and throw the guess out there.
You just gave it away with that sentence. You didn't even finish that sentence, but
Right.
when you said jangly,
Yep.
you picked all songs that have 12-string guitars in them.
You, sir, have hit my theme right in the face.
Uh-huh. I wasn't going to say.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
But
All right.
I'm very impressed that you caught it before I even mentioned 12 string, because I knew when I actually got the words 12 string out that you were going to know, because obviously
Yeah.
Under the Milky Way was a 12 string guitar song. But yep, that was my theme.
All right. Let's
And
still
did you
listen.
notice Sarah did her thing there where she kind of in the background implied that she had already figured it out, but she wasn't going to say anything?
Yep.
She's always trying to take the spotlight off of me.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Sarah.
she is sharp, so she probably did get it before you said it.
Well,
She
when
probably
you get
did.
to your third song, I'll explain why I thought that would be the case.
Okay, fair enough.
I did, while you were talking about 12-string guitars, I was looking up more history on the Pixies, since that might be helpful to know that the band did disband acrimoniously in 1993, but they reunited in 2004. Then Kim Deal left the band in 2013 and was replaced by another Kim Shattuck. They were broken up for about 10 years.
Well, there you go. There's the answer to that question.
There it is.
But I always did think that this, I mean, it was listed as their only sort of commercial hit, but the only place that it got any traction ever was college radio.
Yeah, this definitely sounds like it would be a good college radio song.
Right. It didn't ever chart on the Hot 100 or anything like that, even though it sounds very poppy. Yeah. College radio was the only place that it ever had any home.
Did you say what year this was?
The album came out in 89, so I assume that the single was the same year.
Okay.
I'm a rule follower.
Better be.
Evidently you are. I was hoping it came out in 1990.
No, just barely squeaked in there. Well, it was a good pick.
Thank you very much.
I liked it.
That was a good pick.
I think it's a good, strong start to the second side.
Well, let's hope we continue that streak.
Am I up next?
That brings us up to you, Sarah.
Oh, man. Well, okay. So I've had a bit of a theme with my songs, not intentionally at all, but this song is definitely breaking that theme because, first of all, it's got a female vocalist, so that already is different. Second of all, you're going to be able to understand pretty much every single word she sings. So that's a nice change. The song is Walking on Sunshine, and the band is Katrina and the Waves. So let's hear a little bit of it, please. It does feel good.
It does.
And I think that was actually a really good follow-up to the song you just played because, as Brian said, that he thought that sounded like a sunny California day. Well, my gosh, what about Walking on Sunshine? That's like the ultimate sunny California day.
I wrote the exact same sentence in my notes to the song, too.
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, luckily this one doesn't have a nasty dark turn when you actually investigate it.
No, but it's funny if you remember the video for this song, which I do and I love. This is the one song of my three.
Oh, I do. They're on the beach, like dancing around and having fun, right?
Not at all. Not in the least. It actually starts with them in this dark building in London, and she's on one floor of the building, and the guys, the Waves, are on the floor below, and they're all there's no windows. The windows are all broken out, and she's on the top of the floor, and she's dancing and bopping around, and the guys are in these wool coats, and they're all huddled around and looking very sullen and gloomy. And then the rest of the video, she's like bopping around through London and other parts of England, and it's like cloudy and foggy and really awful looking, and they're going around, and the guys are going around in their wool coats, and they're like gloomy and sad and sitting around, and she's just bop, 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 bop. So she is walking on sunshine. The guys they're like being gloomy British guys. I think it's a nice contrast. I think it's at first I was like, well, I wonder if she's really cold, because it looks really cold and chilly in that video. Like they're wearing these coats and she's got like short sleeves on and stuff. But I was like, oh, well, maybe she has her love to keep her warm. Because she's on love. She's walking on sunshine.
Is she British?
She is not. This is an interesting mix of this group. She is from America. Her name is Katrina Lescanich. And the rest of the band is British. They're British males. Kimberly, he's a male. Kimberly Rue, Vince De La Cruz, and Alex Cooper. And the band was based in England. So I don't know how she found herself over there, but she did. In 1983, they put together an album which they financed themselves, and they were shopping it all around to different record labels, but the only label that was interested was Attic Records in Canada. So this band with British and American members had their first record deal with a Canadian record label. It's kind of
that's cool.
A very international thing. So their album was only released in Canada, but it did well enough that they could go on tour. So then in 1984, they released a second album just in Canada, but also that year, the Bangles covered their song Going Down to Liverpool, and that became pretty popular and got them more attention. And so then it wasn't too long before that they were offered a deal with Capitol Records. So they had all these songs from these Canadian albums. They decided to just kind of take a bunch of those. They took 10 of them and fixed them up, made them nicer and re-released them, and that was their first international album, which is called Katrina and the Waves. And this album did pretty well in several countries. It went to 28 in the UK, 25 in the US, 18 in Canada, and all the way to number 6 in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this was the biggest hit, Walking on Sunshine. That was the album's biggest hit. Made it to number 8 in the UK, number 9 in the US, number 3 in Canada, and number 2 in Ireland. And it also charted in Finland, Germany, New Zealand, and Sweden. In the U.S., it was number 75 on the year-end Hot 100 chart for 1985. So I picked this song. It was kind of a last-minute choice, but as I was researching songs or videos for my other two songs, this video came up on the side of my screen, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to pick this song because I used to love this video. I didn't see a lot of videos back in the day, but this was one that I did see, and I loved. I loved Katrina. I thought she looked so cool. I had a black and white shirt with like kind of like scribbly kind of marks on it, you know, and I had black stirrup pants and I had white high top sneakers, and I wore that outfit and I thought I looked like Katrina from Katrina and the Waves. I thought it was so cool, and I'm sure my sister, who's probably going to listen to this, would remember that outfit, and I called it my Katrina and the Waves shirt. So I used to think this song was so much fun. I just had to pick it when I remembered that it existed. I thought, yeah, this is a good song for me, and it fits along with my theme. I think my other theme would be very popular, happy sounding songs. So this is most definitely an example of that. Very popular and very happy.
And you have the theme of the one-hit wonder.
That's right. That's also true. Yes, they're definitely one-hit wonder here. They never really had another big hit in America. Interestingly enough, though, in 1997, they had the Eurovision song winner, and that song ended up being a really big hit in the UK that year. That became their biggest hit ever, and I cannot remember what the name of that song was. But
that's crazy. I never heard about that.
Yeah, it was something... Oh, I don't know. That's sad that I didn't write it down, but I was surprised to see that. In 1997, They won the Eurovision song. They were surprised, too, in fact. Katrina was like, oh, my gosh, we won. But they won by a landslide. It wasn't even like a close vote.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't write that down. But
we just saw them about 2 or 3 years ago when they were on the
Retro Futura Tour.
Right, with
and that's another
Tom
reason.
Bailey and Howard Jones. Katrina and the Waves opened.
Yeah.
They played about a 5-song set, and at the time I thought they were pretty good. They were more of like a bar band almost. Kind of a simple setup, and played some fast rock songs.
It wasn't the original Waves. It was another group of people. She split up with
right,
them.
That's right. That was just Katrina.
Yeah,
but
you know.
They sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I thought she sounded really good.
But I'm surprised she didn't tell that if she played that song that won the Eurovision Award, she didn't even mention the story as the background to it. I don't know if she did play it or not.
I don't recall.
But you think she would have mentioned that?
Yeah, I know, because that's
pretty
sort
big
of
thing.
notable, but I don't know.
I like this pick a lot, Sarah. This song just always strikes me as kind of odd. I remember listening to it when it first came on the radio back then, and it didn't sound like anything else at the time to me. Like,
no, I would agree with that.
In the middle of this 80s mixtape, I think that this does not sound very much like anything else. Like, to me, if I was going to just randomly, if I didn't know anything about the song, I would put it in the 90s. Like,
the 90s?
Oh, really?
I would. In the early 90s, like somewhere around the Spin Doctors time frame, where it kind of started to have that sort of acoustic guitar feel back into it.
Oh, that's weird. But I guess I can see that.
But it, as far as pop radio goes, in the latter half of the 80s, it didn't feel like that. I mean, the energy felt like a lot of songs that were out there, but the sound of it was completely alien, in my opinion. And I thought that the thing that was cool about watching, there was a couple of times I saw Katrina and the Waves show up on like a late night television show, and she just felt very infectious. Like the song is, but like her as a personality sort of really came through.
Yeah. And I think you can see that on the video too.
Right.
She's just so upbeat, and she gets on that stage and she is just having the greatest time.
Exactly.
The way she frolics and dances at the beach.
Yeah, right, the beach. Maybe you're thinking of the little lake or the pond that they go to, and they feed some ducks there.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what I'm
probably
thinking of.
Or you just made up a video in your head, and that's what you remember.
Yeah, because they do feed some ducks, and then the one guy's eating the bread instead of actually feeding it to the ducks. But it's funny that you say it sounds like the 90s, because my notes are exactly the opposite. Really? I think it has a very 60s feel to it. I think the music and the lyrics, certainly the lyrics. Okay, so the other songs I picked are very weird. They don't make any sense, or they're hard to understand, and they're pretty complex. At least I think the Dexys song is a little more, angsty and stuff. But this song is just pop. It is just a simple little pop ditty. There's not a lot going on here.
Well, I mentioned the 90s, and you are thinking of the 60s, but we're actually thinking of the same sort of strain of music in the 90s, because there was a sort of sideline of 90s music that felt very, like, particularly when you looked at the videos, they were doing all this psychedelic tie-dyes and stuff like that. And when I mentioned the Spin Doctors, those guys looked very 60s retro. Even though their sound wasn't in that
But
type
I'm not
of
thinking
wheelhouse.
that kind of 60s retro. I'm thinking almost more like Motown. I think that the way she ad-libs these lyrics in this song, it almost sounds like a gospel sound. She's like, I see it, I see it, I see it. It's like a very,
I
very
get
much
that.
like a revival kind of thing going on. So, and the horns,
The
you
horns,
know,
yeah, that in my
definitely the
notes.
horns.
That kind of gives it an older feel.
Yeah, and then there's the great organ in the background too. I mean, I think it's a synthesizer, but it sounds like an organ, like an old Hammond organ or something. And I think that again gives it that '60s feel.
Yep.
Which I think is a lot of fun. And I think it has a really great bridge. You know, how the vocals build up. She's like walking on sunshine, and then she kind of builds it up, and she starts getting really excited, and then she finally just whoa, oh yeah, and then
That's my favorite part. That middle 8 where she's like, I feel love. I feel love. Yeah, I really like that part.
It's very difficult to listen to this song and not move.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think when we were listening to it, I think we were bopping around when we first heard it.
I mean, sure, we're a couple of drinks in, but I bet you I could play this for anybody. I could play it for a kid in elementary school years. I could play it for somebody older, and there's this infectious, upbeat thing about it that just makes you feel like you have to go ahead and move along with it.
Yeah, I could really see like a young, like you just said, like an elementary school kid would dance like a lunatic.
Right.
To this.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Just flapping our arms all over the place, yeah. And advertisers have used that to great effect because this song is all over the place. It's been used all the time in ads and things. They've made a ton of money off of this song,
Sure.
Katrina and the Waves, and the record company, too. They have made literally millions of dollars off of this song, which I think is fantastic because it is a fun song, and anytime you hear it, you're like, you just feel good.
Yep.
So,
I concur.
all right.
All right, so I guess that brings it up to me for song number 3 here on side 2 of our mixtape. And this is a song by, well, of course, it's a 7-piece band, as you would know from the name of the group, the Thompson Twins. And this is their first big U.S. hit, and it's called In the Name of Love. That is a fantastic single. In the UK, it peaked somewhere around number 75. It was a big bomb. But here in the US, it spent 5 weeks atop the dance chart, US dance chart, number 1 for most of the spring of 1982. Tom Bailey and the rest of the 6 Thompson Twins. See, the thing is, the Thompson Twins, the way when you think of the classic Thompson Twins, you still aren't thinking of twins. You're thinking of 3 people.
Yeah.
But the Thompson Twins actually began as an odd 7-piece collective. I wrote collective more so than a band because they were just as focused on like squatting in like people's abandoned houses and like stealing electricity from other buildings and stuff as they were music. It's kind of they were all poor and dirty looking, kind of like Pixies. Whenever the song that you picked for the first song on the last episode. So this unwieldy 7-piece band released an album called A Product of Participation.
Oh, interesting.
Which didn't really go anywhere, and I got a copy of it a few years ago. They finally released it on CD, and it is pretty raw and unpolished. Has a few good songs on it, but it's not anything that you would expect from an album by the Thompson Twins. And then the follow-up, their second album, was called Set, and this was more of a professional sound. It was produced by a guy named Steve Lillywhite, who lots of 80s people know. He produced albums by Crowded House, Simple Minds, The Killers, and 8 different U2 albums. And the record also featured Thomas Dolby on 3 songs, playing synthesizer. This song, however, was a very hastily written throwaway song just to round out the album. They needed one more song. The rest of the band had gone away. Had left the studio and were doing their thing, and Tom Bailey was left by himself, and they said, Tom, you need to come up with another song, and Tom Bailey wrote this song.
Wow, that's very strange, very different.
Then the label selected it as the single, and it proved to be a major success in the U.S., and that prompted Tom Bailey and the management of the Thompson Twins to decide to carry on as a 3-piece band with Alana Curry and Joe Leeway, and everyone else in the band, the other 4, they got a severance package of £500.
Wow.
And Tom let them keep their instruments.
Oh, wasn't that nice of him?
He's a pretty sweet guy.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
And the rest, my friends, is new wave history.
Indeed it is.
A very cool thing about this is that soon after the album Set was released, Tom Bailey went back into the studio for no real reason because the record was already out, but he reworked this particular song. And what he did was he removed almost all of the guitar elements and added more synth.
Well, that was much more appropriate.
That's right, because as Tom Bailey once said, the guitar is becoming less and less appropriate, and the synth is becoming more and more appropriate in music at the time of the early 80s, the new wave revolution.
He was very much proven wrong.
Not so at the time though.
At the time, no, but over time, yes.
Interesting. So the version that we just heard and the version that we're used to hearing, is that the one without the lot of guitars?
That's the one with the guitars.
Okay,
there actually is a lot of guitar in it.
That's what I thought.
And it's really neat to listen to as well. I was listening to it last night on my headphones because I was working kind of late on my notes. And there's actually 2 distinct guitar tracks to this song that play simultaneously, and it's one in each channel.
Oh, wow.
And it sounds really neat.
Okay.
But it's guitar. I can't even describe with words how
to.
It's
chugging along.
Yeah.
That's what I have a note when I was listening to it. I'm like, there's this guitar that keeps chugging along through the bridge and throughout the rest of the song.
It's guitar weirdness. It's not like a guitar riff even or a guitar line. It's just kind of weird sounds made by a guitar.
When I was listening to this song right before we started all this, it's probably the first time that I've heard this song in forever. But I was struck by the amount of layers of percussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's so many percussion sounds in this song.
I love that so much.
Yep.
It is so much fun.
It actually reminded me, I know that you guys aren't big fans or anything, but there was a group that was popular for an album in the 90s called Rusted Root.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of their tracks had
Yeah.
a large amount of percussion array. And it
okay.
very much sounds like that. The level of percussion in this particular song sounds like a lot of the percussion levels in Rusted Root songs.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. I love listening to all the different kinds of percussion sounds in here. It's just something you don't normally hear in a normal song.
Right.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you hear that kind of thing in like an extended remix, but not in the real version of it. But this was actually, that's the percussion in the album, single version. So this song became a major change of direction for Tom and for the group, and it sort of heralds the sound that you're going to hear on the band's next album, which was the classic Quick Step and Sidekick. Here in America, it was called Sidekicks, but that's the album that had Lies and Love on Your Side.
Right.
If you remember those songs.
Yep.
So, and this song to me, it does have a little more guitar than those, but this song sounds similar to those songs.
I think it still would fit in. Yeah. What I do think is interesting is Tom Bailey's vocals in this song, because he sounds very different here than what he sounds like just a couple of years later on the hits that we really know well.
You think so?
I do. I think his vocal is I don't know, his voice just sounds different.
I think he's one of those guys that, you put his voice on anything, and it's like, oh, that's Thompson Twins. It's just one of those unmistakable, iconic 80s voices to me.
Yep, I think you're right. Well, I just mentioned that Katrina and the Waves tour that we saw. Tom Bailey was on that tour. He was the headliner of that tour, and he sounded exactly the same. When he came in, this was the song that he took the stage to.
Oh, yeah.
And his voice sounded remarkably just like this, I thought.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive considering he has not been out on stage on tour for, I don't know, a couple decades, I think.
That's right, because the Thompson Twins went through their natural lifespan. The Thompson Twins really probably stopped being a top 40 force probably around 1986. They carried on to the early 90s as the Thompson Twins and then switched their name to Babel. They released 2 albums as a duo called Babel. And then after that, Tom became sort of a dub artist by himself called International Observer. And that's sort of what he's done since like the late 90s, just weird dub mixes, instrumentals, and remixes. And that was his return to the world of pop music.
Yeah, we were lucky to see it.
2014.
And it was a very triumphant return. And I think he was surprised at the reception he got from the crowd.
Yeah, he said he was. And supposedly he's going to have an all-new album of pop songs this year. He's released 1 single from it. I haven't heard anything recently about it, so hopefully that's still on track.
It's good to hear. I saw some sort of a news show. It had to be late 90s, where it showed him and Alana, and they were basically farming.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They moved to New Zealand and lived on a farm.
They were out in the farm, and they
he
had
he looked horrible. He was like much heavier and bearded, and like it was like I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, if you go downstairs, you'll see some pictures of him that we took from that tour, and you'll see that he looked really good.
More like himself.
Yeah, he cleaned himself up, had a cool haircut, and
The beginning of that period where they lived on the farm, that's when they called themselves Babel.
Right.
And they were a much more strange like dance. They were not
almost
too
like
focused
trance,
on pop.
I guess.
Yeah. It was a lot of it was good.
Yeah, but definitely not anything like what we just heard.
Right. So this song, guys, appeared on 2 very, very 80s movie soundtracks. Do you know what soundtracks they were?
Ghostbusters.
Hey, that's very good. Yep, it was on the Ghostbusters soundtrack.
don't-
Although I don't really remember it being in Ghostbusters, but like in the movie, but I know it was on the soundtrack.
I don't even want to venture a guess.
Oh,
So
I know what the other one is.
So
but
you get to guess again.
I will fully admit that I Wikipedia'd this stuff while I was listening to your song.
Oh, you did?
Well, I could have done that. Of course, I was doing that with the Pixies before. So
Yeah.
all
So
right.
the other one is
What movie was it, Colby?
Edge of 17.
That's not an 80s movie.
No.
I mean, it's about the 80s, but it's not from the 80s.
Oh,
It was from the movie. It was on the soundtrack of the movie Valley Girl.
really?
Oh, Valley Girl.
Yep.
Sure. That makes sense. That's the right time. You said this was in 83?
Well, this was from 82.
Oh, 82. Okay. And the Valley
movies
Girl
were
was
later in the
80.
80s.
Okay.
What are you seeing there, Colby?
Oh, I didn't.
No,
I
it
was
probably was in that movie
just-
because that movie is.
The popular culture reference in Wikipedia mentioned the two movies I mentioned. It didn't mention Valley Girl, so I didn't know.
Well, it's not
Crazy.
like
Well, that-
Valley Girl was some epic film that we all,
I might be wrong, though. I knew it was on Ghostbusters. I didn't know it was on Valley Girl. So maybe my site was wrong. And then in 1988, they asked Shep Pettibone, who we talked
yeah.
about before. He did a
Good
great mix of
remixer.
George Michael's Hard Day.
Yep,
and
that's
a lot of
right.
stuff from Madonna. They asked him to remix this track for inclusion on their 1988 compilation Greatest Mixes.
Oh, okay.
And it was released again as a single called In the Name of Love 88.
It's like Strange Love 88.
Yep, exactly. And once again, didn't crack the British top 40. It got really close, but it didn't. And it also topped the U.S. dance chart once again.
Wow. So we
Number
still
one.
loved it.
Yep. Let me just say something quickly about the Thompson Twins. I discovered this song much, much later. I came to the Thompson Twins based on the single Dr. Doctor and the album Into the Gap, which I was obsessed with. The song Dr. Doctor. I used to listen to it on the radio, and I recorded it on a really cheap white and orange
Over the air?
over the air.
Nice.
Yep. Centron or something.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
really
We
cheap
used to
pen
have
tape.
those old. Oh my gosh.
And then
Good mixtape fodder right there.
Yeah.
yep. And
So this literally was on a mixtape back in the day.
Yep, it was.
Oh, that's good.
With a nice
Yep.
big heavy click just cutting off what the DJ just finished saying.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I went out one day with my grandmother, and she bought me Into the Gap, and I loved it. I thought it was like,
Wait. That sounds like she took you to the clothing store.
no, she took me shopping and bought me Into the Gap,
all right.
which was the album Dr. Doctor's on, and Hold Me Now, and You Take Me Up. And from there, I worked backwards.
Okay.
I then got Sidekicks, and then got this album, and I love Sidekicks. I thought that was awesome. I kind of didn't really like this album too much overall because it was just not Thompson Twins that I knew and loved. But this song was great. I loved all the synths in it and the.
Yeah, it's just
The
so full
dancing.
of sound. There's just so much going on.
And up until the point where I discovered Depeche Mode, the Thompson Twins were like my main 80s obsession.
Oh, wow.
I remember that, like, I was after Into the Gap, I was totally focused because I knew there was an album coming out called Future Days. It was actually called Here's to Future Days, but I just saw it listed as Future Days. And it kept getting pushed back. But I didn't know it kept getting pushed back. I just knew it wasn't in the stores. And every time I would go to the mall, I would go up to the guy at the cash register at We3 Records and say, do you have a release date for the Thompson Twins Here's to Future Days? And he'd always say no.
Oh,
And then finally one day it did come out. But I've since learned that was the album that Tom Bailey was producing and collapsed due to exhaustion.
oh my gosh.
Because it was too much pressure for him.
Oh.
And they brought in Nile Rodgers and they finished the record
Nile
together.
Rodgers.
Yep.
Wow, that's good.
I always think of the Thompson Twins as one of those groups from the 80s that, like, the quintessentially British music, from that
Yeah,
era.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when I think of, 80s groups that I thought, oh, that's so cool, I considered Tom Bailey to be one of the coolest people in the world.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. Brian
Tom
has said
Bailey
that.
was in that class with
Yeah.
David Bowie,
Yeah.
with NXS. Like, these are people that I thought of, oh my gosh, so infinitely cool with his crazy, like, poofy red hair and little
Yeah.
rat tail.
Yep.
Yeah.
Joe Leeway, not so much, but Tom, I thought
Yeah.
was very cool.
Joe Leeway on this song is crazy with his vocals, background vocals. In the name of. He's like a madman.
One memory that I have of this song is I saw the Thompson Twins once in concert, and it was probably the last U.S. tour that they had. It was for an album called Close to the Bone, which didn't really do that well. So it was in the summer of 1987. And this song live was a throwback to their concerts from that 7-piece band period, because during that point in their career, they would just invite people up on stage and they would let people hit the cymbals and drums
Oh my
and mess
gosh.
around with stuff on stage.
Wow.
And on this song, that's what they did. There was like a standing room only section in front of the stage, and they just let probably about 50 or 60 kids come up and dance around. There were kids dancing all over, and
Oh
people were
my
hitting the
gosh.
drums all through this song, and then they somehow got them off the stage. I was evidently, I was 16 years old. I thought that was pretty cool that
Oh
they
my gosh.
let all those
yeah,
people
that
up on
was,
stage.
you're probably like, why can't I be up there with those guys?
Yeah, I know. If I could just be a couple rows closer.
Yeah.
There's still to this day viral videos. I mean, it's just a tangent statement, but like Green Day gets a lot of play from when it's a regular staple that they do, where Billy Joel will go out and find a kid that knows how to play a couple of. He'll say, "You know how to play 3 chords?" I mean, he's been doing it for decades now, but
yeah.
he'll drag a kid, like 13 or 14,
Yeah.
come up and play, and they'll do one of their anthemic songs.
Oh,
and
that's fun.
That's
the
cool.
kid will be standing in front of
He's like, I
everybody
can't.
having the time of his life.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it's not hard to play a Green Day song.
Like we said, I always thought you thought Tom Bailey was pretty cool. I always thought he was super cool, and I always was really impressed by his voice. To this day, his vocals are excellent. Like we said,
Oh, yeah.
I think he has always written great pop melodies and accompanies them with music of many different influences and styles.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what all the influences are here, but it's a really incredible and eclectic mix.
I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know the song in '82, but
No.
if I did know about it, I think I probably would have been a huge fan of it, because at that point I remember listening to things like Soft Cell and Devo.
Right.
Like all my friends were buying like AC/DC 45s, and I remember everybody was excited about Another Brick in the Wall 45, and I was sort of buying these more synthesizer sounds, and this I think would have been right up my alley, but I didn't know really what techno pop was.
Yeah.
But that's really what I wanted to listen to, just didn't know it. So I think this would have been a favorite song of mine if I had known it earlier. So although this album isn't one of my favorites by the Thompson Twins, this song is still a highlight of their 4-year run at the top of the charts. And it's just funny to me how things sort of come full circle from this song, and from this song through their entire career as Thompson Twins, which went through different stages. But Babel isn't that far removed from this song.
Oh, you
in
don't
my
think?
opinion. And they started here and they ended up here.
Okay.
I just think it's kind of neat.
Interesting. I would have to listen to some more Babel songs again.
I think
too.
the first time that I ever heard of the Thompson Twins was listening to America's Top 40. I don't remember which one of their songs it was, but I just remember Casey Kasem going into a little story about how there are no twins in the band.
None of them are named
They were
Thompson.
they were named after a comic strip.
Tintin?
That's
Okay.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
But I just remember Casey having that little story, and it just stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. It's back to you, Colby.
Well, I think I'm going to finish it off with a pretty solid thing. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to finish it off with is, unlike what you said earlier, the song that does have the strongest intro of any song.
Oh, all right.
Song from a little British group called The Cult, and it's off their album Love, and the song is She Sells Sanctuary. That was She Sells Sanctuary, which is extremely hard to say for me.
Yeah, does she do that by the seashore?
The Cult was this is a big, big song for them as a band. The band had actually had a couple permutations before this point. I'm not extremely familiar with the history, but I know that Ian Astbury and Billy Duff had been in a couple of bands before they got to this particular iteration.
Yep, they were called the Southern Death Cult for a while.
And this is the first time that they actually started encountering money. Like, this particular album is what really started making them go from a band that was occasionally included in a couple of other people's tours to starting to get to a headliner state of their career. And their video for She Sells Sanctuary was actually given an amazing £25,000 budget.
Oh my goodness, what they could do with that.
What I was thinking about the video as we were listening to that, isn't this video very plain? Isn't just them sort of standing in like a whitish kind of room?
Very much so, but the cameras used were high quality cameras. Like, there was a lot of things that a lot of bands didn't get to do, but it was a very, very big deal. And because it was such a big deal, it ended up being kind of transformational for the band. Up until this point, they had had a drummer named Nigel Preston. He actually did record the drumming on this track. But when they got the green light to do the video, the day of the video, this is obviously in the 80s, nobody had cell phones. They didn't have any way to track. Nigel's not there.
Oh my gosh.
They've got to film it, and it's obviously, like you said, it's sort of the band performing the song in the video. Ian Astbury's supposed to start off those vocals, and there's no drummer to sit behind him on the trap set. And they're doing everything they can to track him down. They have no idea where he is.
Oh no.
Man.
And the managers of the band were like, hey, we know this guy, Mark Brzezicki. He's in here to do some sessions, and he can fill in. Mark Brzezicki was better known at the time for being the drummer for a band called Big Country.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But they went ahead and said, yeah, sure, yeah, he can fill in. And Billy and Ian say that the most memorable thing about Mark was that he was very nice, very professional. He listened to the song like twice and said, oh, I got it, and was able to play along with the video. And,
Wow.
And they were like, no, we like him a lot. And then they found out later that Nigel, the drummer that was missing, was arrested at 7 o'clock that morning,
Oh, no.
driving over the speed limit
Oh, dear.
in a car that wasn't his without a license.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. He checked off a lot of boxes there.
Oh, Nigel.
man.
Yeah, apparently Nigel had a lot of demons. He had no reason to be driving at 7 o'clock in the morning other than probably chasing more of them.
Yeah.
But it was shortly thereafter that they cut ties with Nigel and continued with Mark.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, going back to my earlier statements about theming,
Yes.
you would correctly surmise that my intended theme was 12-string guitar.
Yeah.
And when you listen to this incredible opening, you think of 12-string guitars. However, I was dead wrong.
Oh, my gosh.
There are no 12-string guitars used on this.
What?
But it's interesting because what happens,
totally sounds like
Billy
one.
Billy Dubb was a guitarist for the Cult. He was very different than most of the guitarists at the time. If you look at any of the videos from the 80s, most guitarists are playing on streamlined guitars, very 80s-esque.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the
Right.
angles, the
Yeah,
flying
flying
Vs,
Vs, yeah.
that type of stuff.
Sure.
But Billy Dubb was actually playing on a Gretsch, which are big,
Heavy old
heavy
things.
guitars.
Yeah.
And this was called a White Falcon. It was obviously a white guitar. That's what he played all of the album Love with, including this opening. But when they were in studio, Billy picked up a violin bow, and he was just trying to amuse. Ian Astbury was sitting in the control room, like barely paying attention. And so Billy Duff was really clowning around. He grabbed his violin bow and he hit every pedal that he had on his soundboard and like started trying to make crazy noises on his guitar, on his big old Gretsch White Falcon. Ian thought it was funny, but you know, he stops and puts the bow down, and then one of the people producing the album asked him to like run through some of the music from She Sells Sanctuary, and he started picking that part, and he was like, oh my gosh, I still have all this stuff engaged. And the guy, the producer, was like, no, let's keep that. That sound is awesome.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
He would have never had that sound produced if
He
it
just
wasn't
was
for the
just-
fact that he was goofing around with a violin bow.
Oh, that's so funny.
Jeez, that's so weird.
That's crazy. I love those kind of stories when they're just like messing around and that becomes like a part of the song.
Yep.
That's so cool.
And then I looked into what the song actually means.
Oh.
And this is also kind of amusing because Ian Astbury was asked that very question. And his quote, verbatim, is, what's the song about? Sex. Plain and simple, it's sex. I've had sex, and I'm very proud of that fact.
Oh, good.
Great job, Ian.
Good for you. All right.
And then when you look at the lyrics, he says, you know, the Texas turn makes my back burn.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
And so in her, you'll find sanctuary. Basically, it's just, how great is it to have sex? That's what the
my
song is
goodness.
completely about.
Oh, that's funny.
This song has a really nice sunny day California feel to it. Well, it really doesn't, but I was trying to force it into every one of
since
your
like
songs.
Very nice.
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, I do like the sound of this song. I've always liked this song. I think I probably became familiar with this song around the same time as I became familiar with the Mission
Oh, okay.
song. I don't remember when this one was released, but it was probably being played on the same, like 120 minutes or something at the same time.
This was probably like 84.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is it?
It was definitely
well,
way before.
I missed the boat on that, but this was definitely something.
But that video is one that stuck around. The video is so iconic and memorable that, I mean, you still saw it years
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
So it quite possibly
this
could have been
wouldn't
on
have been
120
something
minutes.
I would have found earlier on in the 80s, but
I was thinking that too. This is like a whole aspect or a whole area of new wave music that I was really unaware of
Yeah.
all throughout the 80s. And it was when I got into college that I sort of came into this.
I actually, the only reason I was aware of it anywhere near the time it was released was there was a guy in high school that was friends with us by the name of Greg Morgan. And he'd actually been a kid that traveled around a little bit. He had been from Louisiana most recently. And I remember one time sitting in his car and he puts on this tape. And it was not the actual commercial cassette. It was, you know, something he had copied onto his own cassette with little pen scribblings on the paper casing.
Yep.
But
A backup. He made a backup
yeah, a
copy.
backup copy.
Right.
That's what we call them.
yeah, we listened to the album in his Volkswagen, and that's when I first heard this song. And I remember thinking at the time, I was kind of bored by the other songs in the album. But this song came on, and I was like, oh, that one's cool. Then I put the Cult out of my head. Like, it was one of those things where I remember that time.
Yeah.
never really went
Never
after their
revisited.
music. And then years later, after this was probably about 1989, I was working in a warehouse with a guy that played in a local band by the name of Insider. I don't remember his last name. First name, the guy was Cliff. And he played me, we were driving to lunch or something like that. He played me the Sonic Temple album. And I was like, this is an incredible sound. And he was like, oh, you don't know anything about the Cult? And I was like, I don't know anything about the Cult. He's like, oh, how about this song? And he pulls out Electric and he puts in Wildflower. And I was like, this
nice.
is amazing.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then I went back and I
You're
got back into Love. But yeah, the very first, the reason why I included this particular song is because it was the song that basically made the Cult the Cult.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can hear this song sort of being the bridge between Love and Electric, and
It was a
basically became their defining sound.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of really interesting sounds with the reverb kind of stuff going on there, and what we all thought was the 12-string guitar.
Right.
That's what. Okay, so I asked when we played these songs. I said, "Is that a 12-string guitar?"
Right.
And you said, "Oh, it's funny you mentioned that." And then when we heard Under the Milky Way, I was listening to that and I thought, oh, I wonder if that's the theme. But then I also wondered, well, could your theme, because I noticed things you talked about in the previous two songs where these songs you chose were very big hits for the band and very popular and well liked by a lot of people, but not well liked by the band.
Exactly. So that's my final. The reason why I purposely placed this third is that when I was thinking I was going with this 12-string vibe,
Yeah.
and then I started researching and found out that She Sells Sanctuary actually does not have a 12-string guitar in it. I was like,
Man.
but I had a theme.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute. Dave Kilby hates Under the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Or at least he hated it for a while.
Yeah.
Other than the fact
He's had
that it earns
mixed
him
feelings
money.
at least.
Yep.
The Pixies don't like
Yeah.
Here Comes Your Man.
So-
Maybe the Cult hates. No, they
No,
don't.
they love it.
So I failed at a theme.
All right. Well, they're all 80s songs and they're all guitar songs, and so there's that.
That's true.
The bass in this song is awesome. The driving bass to the song.
I think that you mentioned bass on all three of his songs. I think that you like.
I don't think I mentioned it on the Frank
on-
Black song.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think. But I think that much like my other two songs, Under the Milky Way doesn't really have a drive to it. It's sort of just ephemeral. But the other
Yeah.
two songs have the very insistent beats to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And like,
This one really does.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Without
this
doubt.
is like.
And when you listen to Ian's vocals on this, I think you can really hear the quality that made, because years later he filled in for Jim Morrison in the Doors.
Yeah,
remember
he
that?
Right.
was in the
And
Doors for a while.
When you listen to this, you can understand where the Doors were coming from when they said, "Let's get this guy."
Yeah, he's got a really powerful voice, and he knows how to use it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've always liked the fact that there is, if you listen for it, he's got a heavy influence from Jim Morrison. But then there's this whole other level that he's got. It's like he's got an extra gear that Morrison never had.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. And given the fact that, there's a bass desire behind the way the song was intended and what they were getting at, the meaning of it and all that kind of stuff. But regardless of the reason why, the celebratory feel, like that's what you get.
Yeah.
Without even hearing a single word he's singing.
Yeah,
Like,
you
it
just hear
feels
the
like
tone and the.
This is the
yeah.
song that you could play 5 o'clock every Friday.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, well, that brings us up to side 2 of the mixtape. Wait a second. My phone's ringing. Guys, I hate to do this. I hate to take a phone call in the middle of the show.
Okay.
Okay.
But my phone is ringing, so I'm going to take it. Hey, hello, this is Brian. Who is this?
You got Beil, Jason Beil, and I'm pleased to be asked back onto the Permanent Record podcast. Brian asked me to contribute to this mixed tape episode, and I'm very glad that he did, because I have one song in particular that, while I would never recommend the entire album, this particular song is something that has a lot of nostalgia for me. When we were kids and we used to leave school and we'd be rocking it up in the car, or we'd go carousing about town, or we'd be doing the Mr. Weekend thing and going to the mall, there were always a certain set of songs that we would blast in the car, and this was one of them. Now, it was a remake. The original song was done by a band called Lips Incorporated, and it was a good song, but it wasn't really the style of music that I liked at the time. I didn't really have too much an appreciation for it. But then it was remade by a band called Pseudo, and this version really spoke to the type of music I was into at the time. It was funky, and yet it was rocking. It had some great synth in it, some great guitar work. Of course, the song is called Funky Town. It had some power behind it. It was pretty incredible as far as I was concerned at that time. It fit the mood when you were ready to party and you were rocking it up at the end of the week. You were getting out of school and you were looking forward to a weekend of debauchery, or in our case, probably like D&D or something like that, or comic books. But anyway, regardless of what the activities were going to be, school was out, It was time to have some fun. So what better to put on than the Pseudo Echo version of Funky Town? Now, I know Brian's going to agree with me on this. It's one of our favorite songs from our youth. We played it all the time. So without any further ado, let's listen to a little bit of Funky Town. Because I'll tell you, you don't want to hear me talking about this forever, but you do want to hear the song because it is pretty amazing.
Won't you take me to a funky town? 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 Gotta make a move to a town that's right for me.
Well, thanks for calling in, Beil. It was good to hear from you. I hope you start feeling better soon. I can tell just from listening to your voice that you're a little under the weather. So, guys, Funky Town by Pseudo Echo. It's been added to the mixtape.
Oh my gosh.
And a long-distance dedication.
Yeah, to you two, I think.
So this
Casey,
song...
can you please play Funky Town by Pseudo Echo?
Oh wow.
This song peaked at number 6 in the United States, number 8 in the UK, and it spent 7 weeks at number 1 in Australia.
Wow. How about that?
Crazy. To me, though,
Wasn't Pseudo Echo Australian?
they were.
Yeah.
Well, that's not so crazy then. I didn't know they were Australian.
Like Beil said, though, I'm going to support him on the addition of this song because this was a song that I listened to a heck of a lot back in 85, 86. I love this one.
We did play it a lot in the what I refer to as the Millennium Falcon.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
is that what we call Beil's car?
The Z.
Oh, okay, the 280Z.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it looked like crap. But it was pretty fast.
And it made the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
Oh,
think so.
I bet it did.
And much like Lips Inc., before them, Pseudo Echo turned out to be a one-hit wonder.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Although, Beil said he wouldn't recommend the album it was from. It was from a record called Love and Adventure. It was released in Australia as a collection of a certain number of songs. Here in the United States, a record came out called Love and Adventure, which was not exactly the same. They took like half of the songs from the Australian album and then mixed some of their other hits on it. And it's super dated. I still listen to it occasionally. It sounds really cheesy 80s. But a lot of this, probably like half the songs I think are still fun to listen to. I guess I probably wouldn't recommend the album without question, but I do think there's some fun to be had by listening to it.
I think that if you're talking to anybody that's interested in 80s guitar, and you go, the whammy bar had a really big place in 80s rock. And they're like, well, what do you mean by whammy bar? Well, just listen to this. You're playing some Pseudo Echo, Funky Town. It's all about the whammy bar.
Yep. The original version of this song, I never knew this, the original version of Funky Town, it was a number 1 song in 28 countries.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess it was in 1980, wasn't it? Wasn't the original version from 1980?
I think so, yeah.
I think I saw this on the list of top 100 one-hit wonders from the 1980s. I don't remember where it charted, but I did happen, as I was going through looking for other things, I happened to find that one there.
Much like Brian with his pick from The Mission, I would have picked this as a 1979 original.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I distinctly recall, I grew up in Florida, I distinctly recall roller skating in Tampa to this, but it could have been in the early part of 1980.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think neither of us know for sure. We're just going
No,
by.
I could have been wrong.
We
but
could be right, or you could be right, yeah.
who knows?
So this song, it appeared in a very 80s movie soundtrack. Not a movie that I think anyone really would be interested in watching these days, but it appeared in the movie Revenge of the Nerds 2.
Oh my goodness.
that's a classic.
I've never seen that.
Revenge of the Nerds 2, is that Ogre's Revenge? Is that the subtitle to that?
I think it was Nerds in Paradise,
Oh, okay.
Good grief.
if I'm not mistaken.
I might be confusing that with Revenge of the Nerds 3. I don't know. I'm
You might
making
be.
it up.
Oh man.
Might be. Pseudo Echo played a rather large role in my life personally.
Wow.
In-
The actual band?
Well, yeah, the band, not
Okay.
directly.
Oh.
They're not aware that how much they
Oh,
influenced
okay.
me, but I actually discovered Pseudo Echo one weekend when I was visiting my grandparents. That was pretty much the only time I would get to see MTV because it wasn't available where I lived. So I would stay up all night in their TV room and sleep on the couch. I'd stay up as late as I could and then sleep on the couch. And one Saturday night, they were going to have a concert that night at like midnight by a group called Pseudo Echo, and I had never heard of this group. But that's why I was into watching MTV, so I watched it. So it came on. This band came out, and they played, this song eventually, but their songs were pretty good. I pretty much enjoyed them. They were very 80s sounding and pretty much what I was into at the time. But the lead singer had this incredible T-shirt on.
Oh wow.
A shirt I'd never seen the likes of before in my life.
Is.
And I said, "Oh my God, that is the best shirt I've ever seen. If I ever see that, I've got to get it for myself."
Was it like some sort of stick figure?
It was some sort of stick figure.
I remember
And I
this
went on
now.
to get that shirt, the very
Yes,
shirt he
you
had on.
did.
I got that same shirt in a black shirt with white
Yeah.
writing. I got other shirts with these characters. I got figures. I got books. You guys know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know the character?
Yes.
I have a feeling. Go ahead.
It was a character who was known as Fido Dido.
Yeah.
Fido Dido was for everyone. Is that what it said? Fido
Yeah.
was against no one and
Yes.
he's for everyone. He was so full of peace and had such a good lesson. If all the countries of the world could have just listened to the teachings of Fido Dido, what a world we'd live in
That's
today.
right.
But for a good number of years, I thought that Fido Dido was pretty great. In fact, Fido Dido, I think my love of Fido Dido actually outlived my love of Pseudo Echo.
No, I'm sure.
That might be true.
Even though I still do think this song is good.
Yeah, this is a fun song. Beil is right. It is a really good song if you want to get in the mood to do fun things.
For debauchery.
Well,
Debauchery.
Yeah. What does
Yeah, like
he
a lot
know
of time-
about debauchery?
Oh, yeah, like a lot of times on Fridays, we'd get ready for some debauchery. We'd drive to the mall and play Legend of Cage and get a haircut.
Oh, wait. And then get some pies.
Oh, yeah.
that
Some
would
tasty
make a
cake pies.
tasty cake pie
Oh,
ride, all
yeah.
to
My gosh,
the
you guys
sounds
were
of
just
Pseudo Echo Funky
Living
Town.
on the edge right there.
But sometimes after the pies, you drive on the good side.
Hey, you might do that if you had to. Yeah, if you were going to get really crazy.
Oh, I mean, you know.
All kinds of fun memories from this song, huh?
Yep, lots of fond memories. Pseudo Echo broke up in 1990, but they reformed in the late 90s. In 98, they got back together, and I didn't know this, but they actually were still together. They released an album just last year.
Aw,
no,
isn't that nice?
not last year, in 2015. So they're still doing things. I watched last night as I was getting ready for the podcast. I watched a performance of them from 2016, I think, on a TV show in Australia do a version of this song. And the lead singer looks way different than he used to, but he sounded quite the same, and he still was really good with his whammy bar.
Oh, all
Was
right.
he still wearing some Fido Dido?
No,
Oh,
no,
man.
he was not.
Any other
unfortunately.
new cool characters that you could get into?
No,
No.
it was just a plain black shirt.
All right.
that he was wearing, or kind of like a black button-up shirt.
All right.
And he has a really big beard, and his head is shaved.
Oh,
Well, can't blame a guy for a good aerodynamic look.
Yep. So thanks, Beil. I think you picked a good song for us to talk about, and it's a great addition to round out. So now we have 5 songs in each side of the tape.
yeah, that's a nice 10-song tape.
So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you once again to go out onto our Twitter account, which, what was that again, Sarah?
It was at Perm Record Pod.
That's right, on Twitter, and we're going to put a poll out there. This time Colby has the advantage. He has 2 songs on this week's poll. Who picked the best song for side 2 of the 80s mixtape? Cast your vote on our Twitter poll.
I'm going to win.
You probably will, because your songs had such fun,
California.
sunny California.
Well,
Or
maybe
whatever
one
that
of
was.
them did.
Well, thank you once again, Brian and Sarah, for inviting me along for another wonderful episode.
Thanks for joining us. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've had a great time talking about all these old songs with you guys.
Yep, we hope you enjoyed the mixtape. Programming note, we're not going to have a show next weekend because I'm going to be busy celebrating me and my birthday.
Woohoo!
But we'll be back the last week of April for a discussion on some sort of 80s classic record.
Hope you'll be able to join us then.
We hope you will. So until then, have a great couple weeks, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Permanent Record. We hope you enjoyed our discussion of this classic album, and we welcome you to share your thoughts on it with us. We can be reached on Facebook at facebook.com/PermRecordPodcast, on Twitter at @PermRecordPod, and online at www.permrecordpodcast.com. Our email is permrecordpodcast@mail.com.